Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Football Show, sponsored by Arnold Clark. It's Thursday, the 12th of November. I'm absolutely delighted that you are here with us because, as you can see, we're all patriotic. Some of us more than others in the last couple of minutes, I have to tell you. But nevertheless, I'm delighted that Roughie's with us, Tam Cowan and Steven Naismith. I'm Peter Martin. Thank you to you for joining us. Don't forget to like, share and follow on the Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as you can see, we are in the mood for the big game, Serbia against Scotland.
One game, one win, and we are there. 22 years of pain gone in an instant. I don't want a battle cry. I'm not painting my face or watching a movie. I don't want a hard luck story or a dodgy decision. I want a match winner in Dykes or a Griffiths free kick. I'd even settle for an OG. That's how desperate we are. From Votes through to McLeish, I've watched many a good manager fail. This generation is well versed on our past heroes. Dalglish, Bremner, Souness, Law, Jardine, McGrain, the list goes on. The new Tartan army wants their own 21st century heroes in dark blue. A Robbo, a Tierney, McGinn, Jack, McGregor, a Christie or Dykes. The message is simple. Steve Clarke, get us to Euro 2020. Is this our time? We are about to find out. One game, one win, and we're there. Come on, Scotland.
I decided that was the only way to build this game up, Roughie. There's no point in face painting or getting everybody ready with a sword and a shield. It's down to the players, Roughie.
Yeah, it certainly is. And wearing silly hats isn't going to do any good either. I don't know why me and Tam come up with this, but no, that's certainly opening got me going. I have no negativity anymore. I think we're going to go out and we're going to do it. I don't know how we're going to do it, but I've just got a funny feeling that at the end of the night we're all going to be celebrating.
Oh, Steven Naismith, give me the mood in your camp.
Like the last internationals, confident. I think the only negative is you've not got Ryan Fraser and Jamesy Forrest. Other than that, the managers, the way he's built the squad over the international matches, the going goals down, coming back, winning the games, holding on, going through in penalties, every other aspect of it has been very good. And it's momentum's built. Tonight's the night. No fans will help us, but it will be a tough task. But I'm sitting here confident.
I mean, Tam, let's be honest about it. If this game was on, you, me and Roughie would be in the shed, 3 sheets to the wind, jumping up and down, and then we'd be walking to the game.
Well, sadly I wouldn't, because I'm on with a national broadcaster later tonight at 10 o'clock, Peter. So, as a professional, I have to remain teetotal. So it's fine me doing this in your back garage just now. But no, Auntie Beeb calls later this evening. But no, you're right, Peter. Everybody would be absolutely up for it, and that maybe that's a good thing, Peter, because you know what it'd be like under normal circumstances. The whole country would be up for this. Would have been in the pubs all week talking about this. The Tartan Army would have been heading across to Belgrade for the game. As a result of COVID and all the regulations that go with it, it's been pretty low-key. And when you look at previous Scotland campaigns of the past, when we might have got a wee bit carried away with ourselves, starting, of course, back in Roughie's day, 1978 with Ali MacLeod, maybe this is just what the doctor ordered, a low-key approach, and hopefully go out there and do the business against Serbia. I think we've got a great chance.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Just to enlighten you, Stephen, this is a long-running gag between Roughie, me, and Tam, which is basically we get a show on radio or telly, then we lose it. We get a column, we lose it, and we just keep leathering each other until eventually we'll be down in the brew, signing on again. It's as simple as that.
Whereas Peter, we could both tonight, if we chose to, and we have both worked for the company, we could both just slaughter STV, Scottish Television, who tonight, the biggest Scotland game since 2007. We've not qualified for a tournament for 22 years. We are 90 minutes away from it, and Scottish Television are showing an England friendly live at 7:30. It absolutely beggars belief. Disgusting.
Well, due to legal reasons, I'll not mention anything about that at the moment.
But fire away, Tom.
Lots of people giving us their thoughts on it. Liz McDade says 3-1 to Scotland. Grant Lumsden, obviously the famous Tartan Army song. Good luck to Scotland, says Ailey Mitchell. And Fiona Docherty is not, is she confident about it, Fiona? What do you feel? Can we do it? And I have to say, lots of people getting behind Scotland and have that feeling that they can do it. There are a few who feel as if it's going to be Serbia who are going to win, and that's from Scotland fans. But that's exactly the nature of it. I mean, you know, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Some people have a gut feeling. There's optimism. I certainly think we're more optimistic because we've got better players than we've had for a long time at our disposal. Stevie's mentioned the couple that are not there that we wish were indeed available to Steve Clarke. But it's a game that we would have literally bitten your hand off for. A one-off game to get to a European Championships. If you'd have said that a year ago, we would have said, yes, thank you very much, and here we go. So let's find out about this game tonight. Our reporter, Gabriel Antoniazzi, looks ahead.
Scotland have the chance to end 23 years of international tournament wilderness tonight as they take on Serbia in the Euro 2020 playoff final. The Scots are unbeaten in 8, with momentum and belief some of the key words coming out of the training camp all week. Captain Andy Robertson said he and his teammates have the hopes of a nation on their backs and that the pressure will spur them on, with confidence brimming in the squad.
We've found a way of playing and we've found a way to get results, and you know, results put smiles on people's faces and make sure that, you know, we're confident going into the next game. And I think you've seen that last month. You know, the way we beat Israel and obviously winning on penalties, we then took it into the next two and we believed we were going to get results in both of them, and it proved that way. So yeah, we're 8 unbeaten now. We have to take that as confidence going into this game, and hopefully it's, you know, 9 unbeaten come Thursday night.
So Scotland will line up in their 3-5-2 formation. Kieran Tierney is expected to come into the back three in the place of Andy Considine. Callum McGregor, Ryan Jack and John McGinn will likely make up the midfield three, whilst Ryan Christie could replace the injured Ryan Fraser behind Lyndon Dykes. Serbia play a similar formation with prolific Alexander Mitrovic and starman Dusan Tadic leading the attack. Defender and captain Alexander Kolarov is touch and go due to a muscle problem. Despite winning none of their last 6 games in 90 minutes and far from an impeccable home record, Clarke knows it will be a very tough game.
Serbia are a little bit more studied with the build-up. They have got 3 or 4 really dangerous players in their team. The formation they've been playing recently is not dissimilar to our own formation, so hopefully we can match up and come out best on the night.
With no fans in attendance, the biggest match in 2 decades is sure to have the whole country glued to the screen at 7:45 as this group of players aim to deliver the promised land to the nation, summer tournament football, once again.
Yeah, and we cannot forget the point, Stevie, that I think maybe some will forget about, which is the opposition are top quality. We might be getting optimistic about our chances, but they have a number of players who could hurt us tonight.
They do. I think that's maybe the biggest thing, that people don't have the full knowledge of the capabilities of their players. They've got some arguably world-class players, and their squad as a whole have played that system for a while, so they understand what's required when they come in. And then on top of that, you just look at how they got to this final game. They put out who they would have thought was more favourites in the Norway team, who was also got a very strong team. So they're not to be underestimated. I think in general, with the whole occasion, one-off game, no fans, it all bodes well for us, definitely, to go and do what we've been doing in the last games.
Yeah, Alan Howitt says, Peter, you talk about players we'd love to have available tonight. I wish we had Joe Jordan and Kenny Dalglish available, says Alan. Yes, we all do. And talking of Kenny Dalglish, he reckons the form that we've got going into this Serbia game will stand us in good stead.
And it's good that we're getting people back into play now that are a bit better than what we were before. I think the squad's stronger. And they got a great result against Czech Republic. They're winning 1-0. It was backs to the wall, but it was his third victory in a row at Hampden in a week. So, no, he's done brilliantly, Stevie. And let's hope they can carry it on into the next one and we can get through.
Yeah, I have mentioned at the top of the programme, Roughie, you know, we, and I include Tam in this, not necessarily Steven, but certainly yourself and myself, we talk about a number of great players that we had in the past, and it goes quite a considerable way back. I mean, 98 all the way back to 1974. I think this generation are thinking, oh, come on, any chance to stop talking about them and maybe we could have our own heroes. I think that's the driving force now.
Yeah, and that's what these players have to do. You know, they have to go out and have the mentality to say, right, this is my time. And you're right, you know, the wee run we're on just now, although I've said numerous occasions we haven't really beaten anybody of any magnitude, it's still a winning run. And even if you were playing with an amateur team and you were 8 games undefeated, you go into your next game with a swagger. So I hope they do that. I hope they don't show Serbia too much respect, because we know the players that they've got, and just go out and believe in what we have at our disposal. But you're right, this is a time for them. I mean, even in the way back to 74, everybody talks about Dennis Law and all the players of that era, and then moving on. So yeah, it'd be good, you know, for the young kids of today, you know, who can see the present day internationalists and have something for them to remember as they move on in life.
Yeah, Tam, you, Roughie, Stevie, and myself, we all come together for programs like this, and we nights out and after dinner speaking, but we socially mix with totally different people. What's the mood like from the people that you hang about with nowadays, Tam? You know, there's no point in talking about the people that you used to live with, because you've moved away from them now.
Yeah, well, I was talking about this last night with my friend Marissa, who runs the Glasgow Art Gallery. We were having a small baby sham and a finger buffet. And I remember the days when I lived in Mull, a finger buffet was something entirely different, Peter. Usually happened behind the chip shop. But no, my pals are realists about this, because I'll tell you what, Peter, my pals are very realists when it comes to football. I texted them all ahead of the Celtic Motherwell game at the weekend there, and I said, right, here we go, Motherwell have been going really, really well, Tony Watt had been absolutely dynamite, Celtic had been wobbling, and I texted about 6 of my pals who, in the good times, pre-March, I would be sitting next to at Fir Park. We've all got our season tickets together. Says, what's the forecast then for the Celtic game? And to a man, they just about all got it bang on. They were all talking about Celtic scoring 3, 4, 5 goals at Fir Park. As it turns out, it was 4-1. But here's the positive note. When I asked my same mates how they thought we would get on tonight against Serbia, a lot of them, when you talked about a gut reaction earlier, Peter, or maybe a feeling that you get in your water, a lot of them were saying that they can see Scotland maybe sneaking this 1-0. And an alarming number of people, because I hope they haven't jinxed the boy and he actually maybe doesn't even get off the bench, but they think the same way as me. I'm tipping kind of Lee Griffiths to come off the bench, maybe about the 75th minute, and score our winner in the 82nd minute. So I'm very, very positive. I think like a lot of people, I know supporting Scotland and being Scottish, you know, it can do strange things to you. And it can sometimes make you take an illogical approach to things. But we need to be positive. Other than Ryan Fraser and James Forrest, we have got a full squad at our disposal. We are unbeaten in a year. And correct me if I'm wrong, Peter, but this time 8-9 months ago, we were fearing the prospect of maybe playing Norway in the final. It's no Norway we're playing, it's Serbia, and we don't even have their fervent fans, noisy fans to worry about tonight. So let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I share your optimism, Tam, and I actually share your view on the likes of Griffiths having a part to play. I think the squad will have a part to play if we are still in it come 80 minutes and we've got a fighting chance of pulling something off. Of course, lots of people reacting. Niall Bree says, I just about spat my green tea over my monitor with Tam's finger buffet gag, and also my mate that I went to school, he's just sent us a text as well saying you lot are in soapy water now with him. So it was perfectly all right as long as he doesn't forget his roots. I'm more than happy with that. Incidentally, lots of people commenting on the fact that we'd love to have players there, and one of them in particular is on our programme. Of course, Stevie, lots of fans saying they wish you were playing. Gary McGurn has just said it. I wish Steven Naismith was playing tonight. Never let Scotland down. A top man, top player. And Gary says, and that's from a Celtic fan. And that's the thing about it is, Stevie, you come into, and I don't know if you guys agree with me, Stevie, you come into that kind of, I don't know why we've been drawn towards these kind of pundits, but you come into the Darren Jackson camp as well. You're that type of player that every fan hates you when you're playing against their team, but when you sign for them, they think we love them. Do you get that sense from the Scottish public?
Well, every ground I go to with Hearts, I definitely feel that. But for the national team, I think in the most recent years, in terms of my roles, kind of changed, and I think the injuries to a lot of the kind of forward players, maybe nobody cementing their place as the number one's helped me, give me my chance to basically show the manager what I can do. So I think for that, I'll never give up hope to. Hopefully the boys can do it tonight, and then that's another aim for myself and the rest of the boys for the rest of the season to try and make that squad. But like you have all said, the squad's really good. The competitiveness for each position is as strong as it's been for many years. We've got guys, Robbo's went and won everything in the last couple of years. A lot of boys went down to England and starting to... Stuart Armstrong, for instance, has went down England and took a year or two to get settled, but now is a main player. So the squad's very good. It's in as good a place as it's going to be. Again, like yourself, Sam, pretty much that it'll be tight, but I think we can sneak it. I think we will need to ride our luck defensively to an extent because the quality they've got at the top end of the pitch.
Yeah, one man knows.
Say, Peter, if I can just say, Peter, I did that. I watched Steven Naismith in midweek, and I thought he performed really, really well. He was at the centre of everything. And sadly, though, that was the Hearts documentary a couple of nights later against East Fife. I thought he was a 5 out of 10, and I wonder if he's now found his level.
I have to say, just on that point, I don't want to digress, but it's been interesting. I mean, if anything, Stevie, Gary Locke is the star of it right now after episode 1.
So far, yes, he is. So I don't think the BBC could have got a better year for everything that went on at a football club than this one. So Lockie's took the mantle of the unsung hero at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. That's episode 1, and you're right, Stephen. It's got, I mean, because most of us know the ending on it, it's got everything. It's like a Scottish EastEnders, to be honest with you. The only thing that could top this all off, is if there was a murder Roughie at the end of it. It has absolutely everything in it.
I don't want to spoil anything. Spoiler alert, Peter, but it's BBC Inside Information. It is meant to be 3 episodes, but Neil Doncaster's going to stop it after 2.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, Tam. They still get relegated in the end, but whether they stop it or not.
And the Scottish BAFTA gets awarded to Celtic.
Yeah. Get it all out now. Anyway, apart from that, the players, will they know what it's all about? One man who knows Stevie Clark pretty well is Andy Milne, and he said, the players will know exactly what they have to do from Stevie Clark's instructions.
Steve Clark, who I was very, very fortunate to meet and work with for 2 seasons, and he was a pleasure. And I've no doubt that the one thing, if it's not successful, it'll not be for the want of the players not knowing their jobs and what's expected and what will be expected from Serbia. He's very, very thorough. And at the end of the day, hopefully, Scotland will get a positive result.
Yeah, that's the thing about it, Roughie. I mean, he, if anything, okay, he's. I mean, he does like a laugh, Stevie, but he's got that kind of a serious outlook to him, and he's got the team well organised. And again, I always say it's better to be a lucky manager sometimes than a good manager. He's just got that crop of players to pick from that maybe previous managers didn't have.
No, but I think as we've talked down through the years, international players have to have a manager that they can respect and they listen to every word that he's saying, and that's what the vibe I get. You know, everybody's buying into him, you know, what he's done, what his philosophy is, and that's a good thing. You know, you need a manager when they walk through the dressing room door to give you the team talk and give you that motivation that you buy into everything that they're saying. And as just now, I think that's where we are. You're right, you know, he doesn't come over as somebody who likes a laugh and a joke, but I'm sure he will do it at the right time. I'm sure he will. He seems very, very thorough, and I think I keep saying it. I think everybody's bought into it. I think the supporters have bought into it. I don't think there'll be a massive fallout if we don't win. I think everybody sees the direction that he wants to take us, and the players see that as well. So let's hope we're not talking about that side yet. Let's hope we're talking about the positive side of it, because I think in the years to come, I think we'll get the benefit of this.
Yeah, just to clarify,
Peter,
not everybody's.
I had totally forgotten just how much Andy Millen looks like Gash Nesbitt, Rabsy Nesbitt's boy. From the classic BBC comedy series. Absolutely uncanny, if you remember him. Yeah. I'd love a wee challenge. They do this in other programmes from time to time. They set a challenge for the production team. I'd love your production team, Peter, to get that up by the end of the programme. The picture of Andy Milne and the picture of the guy who played Gash Nesbitt.
Yeah, to be fair, Andy has looked like that for the last 30 years.
He has, aye.
So it's not changed. Listen, I was just going to clarify something that Roughie mentioned there. Not everybody's into it, Roughie. I mean, let's be realistic about it. There are lots of people out there who are not into it. They might not even be Scotland fans. I can't speak for everyone who posts messages. Peter Murray says, 3-0 Serbia. Let's be realistic, guys. We're brutal. So... you know, there's a Scotland fan who's not buying into it. Ronnie Porter says, I've been hearing the same talk from other pundits over the years about how good Scottish players are, yet when it comes to the crunch, they let us down by pushing, the suicide button, and we just have a nightmare or something goes against us. We've heard it all before, says Ronnie. We need to win. Yes, of course, but, there are times before when probably didn't think we had enough in the squad to do it, but I think we have. We're going through a process where I see an upward curve in the players we have, Tam.
Peter, you're old enough to remember an old Radio 2 DJ called Pete Murray. And you had his namesake on there now, Peter Murray, saying that Serbia will pump us 3-0. I think he's going for the shock jock angle there. I think I would challenge Peter to tell us everything he knows about the Serbian players tonight. I think he's just saying that for effect. I think it's a bit harsh. Considering the strides that we've made under Stevie Clark, and when you see the mood as a whole, there are so many people right throughout the country, pundits, journalists, who think that we are. I mean, if you look at the papers this morning, Peter, I went through all the newspapers, and all the writers in the sports section are asked for their big match predictions, and almost to a man, they fancy us. Every day really is fancying a wee result for Scotland tonight. So, I don't have any time for guys tonight to say, we're going to get pumped 3-0 away. Rubbish.
Yeah. Oh, well, listen, it's all about opinions. One thing we can do is have a look at the potential lineups here for this one. Let's have a look at Scotland. This is what we think might be close to the 11. Marshall, McTominay, Gallagher, Tierney, O'Donnell, Jack, McGregor, Robertson and McGinn, Christie just off Dykes. Stevie Naismith, first of all. I mean, there's probably a couple up there open for debate. Tell me if there's any there that you would change.
No, I wouldn't. I would go with that team. I think one that's unlucky to miss out is Stuart Armstrong, but in that formation especially, I don't think he would come into the team ahead of a Christie, a John McGinn, or even the two. And Jack and McGregor have built up a very good relationship now. The only other one is just Stephen O'Donnell, but I think over the last 2 games and his previous work with the manager will trust him more than Palmer or anybody else that could come in and play in that position. I don't think he would go down the route of shoehorning a Stuart Armstrong in the team, moving a Ryan Jack wide to kind of accommodate. I don't think the manager's not that type. He'll go, I think that will be the team.
Yeah, and it's an indication, Roughie, of the quality that we have, better quality than before, let's put it that way. That Stevie's mentioned Stuart Armstrong there, who scored for Southampton last weekend, really is an ever-present in that Southampton side. And let's not forget, this is a Southampton side who started the season on fire. They're at the top end of the league. So you're talking about Stuart Armstrong. You're definitely talking about Griffiths with a part to play. And you could be talking about Ollie McBurney, Kenny McLean. All of these guys might be on the bench and with something to do late on in the game, Roughie.
Yeah, and I think there's no doubt if you look at every player you've picked there, if you go back a year, I think they're all better players a year down the line. I think they've all established themselves at the teams that they've went to. I think they're better players than a year ago. They'll certainly have a lot more confidence with the players they're coming up against week in, week out. The only change I maybe have would be Palmer there. I think he liked Palmer in the last away game that we had. He was good going forward. And I don't know about McKenna. I don't know how well he thinks McKenna's playing down south. That would be the only two decisions I would have. I said earlier on in the week, the form that Armstrong's in, if he could find a place for him, I think it'd be good. I think he's always good for a goal. But I agree with what Nazy's saying there. You know, where do you fit him in with the guys who have stuck by him for the last 3 games that were played? I don't know who it would be that would drop out. So I don't think we'll be far away for that 11.
Yeah, Jim Main says, I feel for Considine. He's done nothing wrong. Jim, there's probably a million and one. I know we've got a lot of Aberdeen fans who come on the programme who will look and understand the value of Andrew Considine for Aberdeen. He's come in the last couple of games and given his all. And certainly, in my book, Tam, he hasn't in any way let himself down. He's come in at a late age and thought, I am going to give it my all. And that's what you want. You want players who are going to come in, Tam, and play for the collective, rather than, as Ryan Fraser said a couple of weeks ago, over a year ago, maybe longer than that, some players were coming in and playing for themselves.
Yeah, bottom line with Andy Considine, this is no time for sentiment, Stevie Clark was going to pick what he thinks is his strongest starting 11. We're second guessing this, of course. For all we know, Considine might be on for the start, but it seems highly, highly unlikely. But you know what? Considine will be delighted to have got that cap finally as a veteran. And you'll still be months before you wipe the smile off his face with that. But Stevie Clark, for a playoff, 90 minutes away for our first finals in what will be 23 years, he was always going to go with what he thinks is his strongest starting lineup. And the interesting thing, I think, Peter, by and large, Roughie had a couple of minor reservations there, but by and large, out of the 4 years, we were quite happy with that starting lineup. And I would love, if we didn't have any hypocrisy tonight, I'd love almost everybody in the country, fans, pundits, journalists, to sign a pledge when the team lineup is announced before kick-off. And if you're happy with it now, don't be unhappy with it if the result goes against us. Don't then start trying to pick faults. I know every fan and every pundit does it, but how many times have we seen that in the past, Peter, when the team was announced, you didn't have any qualms with it whatsoever. But then, in the wake of a defeat, everybody's wanting to start pointing the finger and telling the manager that he got it wrong. I think the starting lineup that you put up there as a possibility, Peter, that will do me any night of the week. I think that's enough to beat Serbia.
Well, Stephen, let me put this to you. When Celtic were winning the titles, you could almost, 100% under Brendan Rodgers at the tail end there, pick his side. Steven Gerrard now, you can look and you can get 95% of his side, which is playing well, named. And there's maybe one or two that he tinkers with at the moment. And Stevie Clark, we're now in that situation, Stephen, where we think we could get at least a good 9 out of it right.
Yeah, and that's the manager's known for that, even at Kilmarnock. But you can't underestimate the Ryan Jack McGregor in the middle of the park. They've formed a relationship. As daft as this sounds, a straight pass, or when Jacko gets the ball, Callum understands where Jacko wants him to put the ball, where he's going to put the ball. And it's the same way that Stephen O'Donnell on the right, him coming in over the last 4 or 5 games, the players around about him understand, right, he goes high at this point, he'll be deep, he'll cover me here. It just cuts out a lot of the risk of bringing somebody in out the cold that might only make one mistake in the game, but that mistake in the game could be very costly. So, like I said, the manager's known for keeping a settled team and going with players he trusts, and I don't think you can underestimate that.
Yeah, the predicted Serbian lineup, let's have a look and see. They usually, over the course of this campaign, have played this as a kind of a 3-4-2-1. Rakovic in goal, Milinkovic, Mitrovic, Kolarov, Lazovic, Maximovic, Gudel, Kostic, Tadic, Milinkovic, Savic, and Mitrovic. So there are 3 or 4 in there that we are well accustomed to, Roughie, and we know them because we see them on a regular basis, and we know the quality of them. So, and Tadic for me and Savic just behind Mitrovic, that 3 will trouble the best of them. We just hope they have an off night, or our boys at the back can keep it really solid.
Yeah, they definitely pull the strings, and I don't know who it was. It was on, I think it was Hugh McDonald who rhymed off all the teams that these guys play for. And that would frighten you itself, that they've got the quality to play for these teams. So they're good players. Okay, they might only have one in 6, but we know what they can do. We saw what they did in Norway. I would forget all the other games. It's going to be a tough night. It's going to be a really tough night, but we just need things to go for us. And we've all seen games where you might have thought, oh, they're going to win, and something happens in the game. Something silly might happen. We might get a wee break here and there, and that's what we're hoping for, because let's not kid ourselves, they're a better side than us, and they've got better players than us, but that doesn't mean you're going to win a game. If you look through the history books, it's not a given. If you go out there and shut people down, we've seen the likes of Rangers and Celtic playing Barcelona. If you've got the right formation and the right tactics, it's not a given that these massive teams are going to win, so that's what we have to do tonight.
Yeah, and with that in mind, Stephen, you won't remember this, but I think it was Graham Souness who picked the ball up and he floated it over to the right-hand side, and I think Asa Hartford headed the ball back into the path of Dave Neary, and Dave Neary fired the ball into the roof of the net, and we were 1-0 up against Brazil in the 1982 World Cup. And again, it proved the point that Roughie was saying there, which is basically, even though the other team has better players, Stephen, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to win the game. Dave Neary put Scotland ahead. The whole nation was behind that team. And then a goalkeeper was beaten at his near post by Zico and Adair. And in the end, the best team did win, Stephen. It was 4-1 to Brazil.
As I said, there are times when that doesn't work. There's times in that scenario it doesn't mean it doesn't happen all the time. But when you're playing against a team that should have won the World Cup, it makes a wee bit of a difference.
Absolutely.
And what a coincidence! What a coincidence, Peter, that Roughie, as you can see, is actually wearing his goalkeeper jersey from that game, not a bloody mark on it.
There's no chance of no sweat DNA. Although I have to say, Roughie, in that night in Seville, it was roasting.
Yeah, I'll never forget the warm-up that night. Obviously, I was just in the goals doing the warm-up, but I was watching Kenny Dalglish and Graham and Asa and the boys running about, preparing. And I've never seen sweat coming off guys. This isn't a warm-up. And when they got into the dressing room, they were absolutely drained. They were so dehydrated. They were drinking as much water as they could. It was a warm night. It wasn't a sunny night. It was just a balmy, humid night, and that was my excuse for the first 3 goals anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, which a lot of people don't know, Roughie did actually think at 1 minute that he'd spotted Senga, his first love, in the Brazil end, wearing a Brazil top. So that took his mind off it as well. Listen, Scotland under-21s 2-2 with Croatia at the moment with 20 minutes to go. And the next piece of information I'm going to give you tops anything you've ever done, Steven Naismith. It absolutely tops it. It's 2-2, 20 minutes to go. Billy Gilmore has just come on as a sub and was immediately sent off for something he said to the referee. Now, that has to be... I cannot recall in any game that I can think of where somebody has waltzed on and suddenly had a wee chat with the ref and then waltzed right back off again. And by the way, Stevie, you've had a right good few chats with the ref. But
I've tried. I'm dying
to know the explanation.
No, that's very strange.
It's strange.
My lawyer has just advised me to add in the word allegedly. So allegedly, I smell a betting sting.
Only you.
Why else would it happen? Why else would it happen? Incidentally, hey Peter, I do like a wee flutter, and Roughie might agree with me here. Because there is, generally speaking, a mood of optimism about the game tonight. Roughie might already have been on with the bookie, but 92 Scotland. You can get 92 your money tonight for Scotland to win in 90 minutes. So for all those people, quite a lot that I've read, that I've heard, who fancy Scotland to sneak at 1-0 in 90 minutes, stick a tenner on it, get yourself a wee bit of drinking money for the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think, and before we get to the predictions on this, guys, if it had been a BBC producer on the national radio or television station, we would have had to have waited right to the end of the show to try and get the Andy Millen comparative picture. But because we've got one of the finest producers working for us at PLZ,
good on you, Anne.
Anne has come up with a picture right away. So here it is, Tam.
There it is. Wow, look
that.
at that.
There it is. That's incredible, isn't it?
That's brilliant. It was one of the great lookalikes in Scottish football, Peter. Another great one was the brilliant one I always thought for years was, I can't mind who the actor was, but it was Alec McLeish and a guy for CSI New York or something. You mind the guy I mean?
Ginger-headed boy.
Yes, it was Steve something.
That's right. I like the way that Roughie guessed that the lookalike for Alec McLeish was a ginger-headed boy. It's like sitting with Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, it was.
It's elementary.
Stevie, did you have his name there? And I thought we'd lost his voice there. I can't quite hear Stephen.
Of course, I've gone as well.
But no, you're with us, Roughie. I wonder if
somebody will send it in on Facebook, Peter.
Yeah, absolutely. CSI Miami says Artie as well. I seem to have the first name Steve. Sorry, I don't know why I said Steve. Hugh Scott has just said his name was David Caruso. That was his name. Remember at the end when the guy was arrested or they solved the murder and he put his glasses on and then just looked at the camera and then walked away. How we managed to get that into this programme, I will never know. Anyway, apart from anything else, give us your predictions then. I'm going to go Scotland to win 1-0 in 90 minutes, Roughie.
No, I've given you my scenario. I think it's going to be a longer night than that. This is the way I see it panning out. I see Serbia scoring. 10 minutes to go. They'll try and hold on to their 1-0 lead. We'll get a corner or a free kick. We'll equalise. It'll go to extra time. It'll still be 1 each. And then we'll win in penalties.
Wow, my nerves will be shot if that happens. Well, so... I'm gonna have to check. I think we might have lost Stevie's sound, and that makes me wonder if his
back.
200. Oh, he's back! Brilliant. Okay, Stevie, you hang on because Tam. I know
you would have thought, Peter, you would have thought that the Preston Field House Hotel would have had better Wi-Fi than that, wouldn't you?
Don't you
I see he's back in the hotel. Clubs are all out pleading poverty. We need the fans to rally around the foundation of Hearts. Tam, can you come and do some free gigs so that we can cross the finishing line this season? I ain't bother. Big muppet, and they're putting players up in hotels.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I'm in the house tonight.
He's in the house. Honestly, Tam, honestly, the headline tomorrow in the papers, page 5 of the Daily Record, Ayrshire man has curtains. I can see it now. Honestly, it's a stonewall certainty. So, Tam, you just can't go for a 0-0. You've just got to give us a prediction because it's played to a finish.
Okay, right. First up, I want Stevie to prove he's in the house by getting his wife to walk past him in the background in her bra and panties. just to see how quickly Roughie can drive to Stewarton. He'd be doing that. He'd be doing that M77 like Donald Campbell.
And if she can't walk by, just send us a photo.
You're a bad one. Give us your prediction.
Right, my prediction. Sorry, Peter. My prediction. The score line that I think I'll be reflecting on at 10 o'clock on BBC Radio Scotland, the Off the Ball special, on until 11:30 tonight, is Serbia 0, Scotland 1. And I'm sticking to my guns. I've had a hunch about Lee Griffiths making his impact in this game. Every time he's edged towards a wee comeback, I know he's maybe then the odd wee setback, but every time he comes back for Celtic and does the bizzo, coming off the bench, popping up for a goal, no matter what they say about him with his fitness, be it physical or mental, I've just always had this thought in the back of my head that cometh the hour, cometh the man, and the 2 goals that he got against England might only, I know that didn't come to anything, but that might only have been a mere warm-up for him coming off the bench tonight with quarter an hour to go, and then in the 82nd minute, free kick to Scotland at the edge of the box, and he puts it past the hapless keeper. Serbia 0, Scotland 1.
Well, that's a great shout. You've gone for Griffiths as a star man. I, like many others, think the star man is going to be Dykes from a set piece. Steven Naismith, how do you think it's going to go?
I'm going to go with Roughie. I think it'll go longer than 90 minutes because we never do anything easy. But I don't know if it'll go penalties, but I think we'll win 1-0 overall after 90 minutes. And I think, like yourself, Big Dykes will get the goal.
Okay, fingers crossed. So many people have given us their thoughts on this.
That show yours cancelled if it goes to extra time.
Well, just allow Peter to tell us how he really thinks it'll pan out. If the game does go to extra time and penalties, there's every likelihood that we won't be on air tonight, and as a freelance broadcaster, I won't get a single penny. So how would you like the game to pan out, Peter?
Well, I'll tell you right now, I want Scotland to win so that you get a wedge. It's as simple as that, Tom.
Thank you.
And I have to say, apologies to Billy Sloan, who's hoping that it goes to penalties so that he comes in and plays his music instead of Tam. But nevertheless, 1-0 to Scotland. Dykes, says Niall Kane. You never know, Niall. Fingers crossed on this one. Everybody's got a star man that they think's going to win it. Here's how the fixtures look for tonight's crucial games. And I have to say, good luck to Northern Ireland as well. I really hope they can do it against Slovakia. As you can see, Serbia, Scotland, Hungary against Iceland, Georgia against North Macedonia, and Northern Ireland against Slovakia. And again, for Northern Ireland, one-off game, and I think we mentioned how great it was to see Steve Davis take the all-time appearance record. But I think even a win tonight would eclipse all that, Roughie, for Steve Davis and the rest of the Northern Ireland boys, if they could come up with something special again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be a wee bit controversial, but I think we all like to see the home nations qualify, except for one, for these big tournaments. And they always add something to it. Let's hope supporters can be allowed back in, because all the home countries, supporters at the game bring something to these tournaments, bar one.
Well, I have to tell you, I don't share that same level of xenophobia, and I have to say that Roughie fits right into my two brothers who have that same attitude. But I have to say, I don't know about you, but I might be in a minority here. I like to see England at tournaments as well. I like to see all the home nations involved. If we're not there, I like to see someone from the United Kingdom there, so that you still have an interest. I might be in the minority, Tam.
No, I agree with you. You've heard me say this before at domestic level, Peter. As much as I reserve the right to have a wee laugh and a chuckle where it's deserved in terms of Celtic and Rangers, I still like to see them progress in Europe, because it's Scottish teams that are there. And if Scotland kind of get to these major tournaments, you're right, I wouldn't bother my backside tuning in if you did. But you think of the excitement recently. You remind me of the tournament. I was in Las Vegas at the time, Peter, when Wales had their great run. What year was that, Peter?
Would that not have been the 2000 Euros? Yeah, the last Euros.
Yeah.
Was it 2016?
And you know what? See, to be on holiday at the time, the kick-off of the games, because I was in America, they were nice and early every day. It didn't upset your plans for that day. It was absolutely brilliant, and you were fixed to it watching Wales. So yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Even Roughie, I'm sure, if he thought he would sooner England got there, and I'm thinking in his heart of hearts, maybe getting to a final and missing out via a penalty shootout or something like that. That's the way that I imagine Roughie and a lot of other Scottish people might prefer to see England's hopes panning out. But I like seeing a home nation in the finals, and I hope this time, I hope next year, it's us.
Yeah, Andrew Purvis says, Peter, you're well in the minority. I support Scotland, as I do, Andrew. And he says, and whoever plays against England. Yeah, I mean, do I want to see them win the tournament? Absolutely not. I'd like to see Scotland go as far as they can. I wanted to see Wales win the tournament when they got to the semi-finals. But the passion of it all, Roughie has obviously encountered it in a different way, because he's played against them in so many big games. He's been at the forefront of it, whether it be Wembley or indeed Hampden, and I think you've got actually a good record down at Wembley, Roughie.
Yeah, I've got 2 wins out of 3, which is good. Yeah. But I mean, that's probably where it stems from. As soon as you get down to England, you're just the no-hopers. You're just the wee Diddy team for up the road, and probably that's something that's never get out of my head. So, no, I want to see it doing well in the group stages, but once they get to the quarterfinals, the sooner they get knocked out, the better. Let's be serious.
Right, okay, there you are. There you are. Okay, listen, a few things that we've given our predictions. All I can say is good luck to Steve Clarke and the boys. Let's hope they come up with something special. I think your whole nation will go ballistic, Tam. I just don't hope, as I said yesterday, I hope we don't all go out and start cuddling everybody, and then the infection rate goes through the roof. Everybody can just get a wee glass of wine, celebrate. I certainly will be having some wine if Scotland can do it. In fact, I'll be having wine during the game as well, Tam. I must be honest with you.
Well, Peter, the bottom line was, let's be sensible, but at the semi-final, that was when the pubs were still able to open to 10 o'clock, and you had some of those brilliant images that were flashed up on social media of Scotland fans outside the pubs watching back in towards the pub, the penalty shootout and all the rest of it. That simply tonight isn't an issue by and large across the vast majority of Scotland, because the pubs won't be open this evening, simple as that. So they're already predicting in the papers today that it'll be record takings tonight for takeaway pizza firms and stuff. I'm sure the supermarket shelves and the alcohol aisles have taken an absolute battering. So folks should just sit back, enjoy the free-to-view coverage. Let's never forget that, which makes, I think, even more shameful that Scottish television are showing an England friendly while Scotland are 90 minutes away from a major championship. Surely, to goodness, Scottish television could have come out there with flying colours and done a deal with Sky so the Scotland game could have been shown on STV as well. It would have been well worth thinking about, but I think that's horrendous and hideous. But everybody should just put their feet up tonight, enjoy a Scotland victory, have a wee drink, and then tune in to BBC Radio Scotland at 10 o'clock.
Yes, absolutely. Ian Noble, who's a good lad, he's an Aberdeen fan, I know Ian well, and he said, supporting colonists is Stockholm Syndrome. So if you're not quite sure what Stockholm Syndrome is, look it up. Ian Noble has certainly slaughtered me for suggesting that I might actually like to see England at major tournaments. Niall Kane says, what wine will it be tonight, Pedro? Buckfast. Now, what an absolute slur on the stereotyping the area I was brought up in, Roughie. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, it's just outrageous. Stephen, will you have a wee tipple tonight?
No, I'm ultra professional. I'm also on the BBC tonight doing the highlights programme, so like Tam, I'm professional.
Yeah, well, the good thing is, it's great, Roughie, for us being on the show today with two mercenaries who, I mean, I'm surprised the two of you are not on Channel 4 with the red triangle for the shows later on as well, by the way. Incredible.
I'll probably have had 3 or 4 gin and tonics because I'm on STV tonight. I don't care.
To be fair, now that Stevie has said that he's on BBC Highlights programme tonight, Roughie will have a similar background to Stevie's on tomorrow night show because he's heading down to Stewarton as we speak. As soon as this show is
I'm waiting till I see the 40 first.
Absolutely brilliant, excellent. Anyway,
I just get sent it. You want to see it now?
Okay, couple of things before we finish, lads. Come on, Scotland, we want you to do well. Let's fingers crossed we're all celebrating. The other thing I was going to get your thoughts on, Roughie, Hamilton knocked out last night of the Betfred Cup. With the results, Stranraer 2, Hamilton 1, Airdrie 0, Edinburgh 1, and St Mirren 1, Morton 1. Now, the one that's screaming out is the Stranraer result, Roughie. I can't tell you the under-21 game finished 2-2, but as far as that result is concerned, Roughie, I think Tam McManus and myself were talking about it last night. You know, is that the end for Brian Rice at Hamilton? I said no because, you know, Hamilton, it's not so much that they're not a knee-jerk club. They tend to stick by managers longer than maybe other clubs would.
Yeah, I think the boy Cannon was there for a long, long time and ups and downs. But the way Hamilton's run, you know, it's obviously to bring as many young players through as possible, sell them on, you know, and if the manager's got to buy into that, then so are the owners got to buy into it as well. There is going to be ups and downs. We've just started the season. They are 2 really bad results, but there's a long season to go. And as we know, Hamilton always seem to be the team that digs himself out of a hole year on year. So I wouldn't be jumping to any decisions so far. I think Brian gets on well with all the players, and I think all the players buy into what he's doing. So not for me, you know, two bad results don't deserve a sacking.
Yeah, it's not 2 bad results, Roughie. Tam, it's 11 defeats in 15.
Yeah, I'm going to stand up for the Hamilton Accies fans here. I mean, they get slaughtered a lot of the time for being few in number. But the guys that do go and watch Hamilton, obviously they can't do it just now with COVID, but the guys who historically have gone to watch Hamilton Accies week in, week out, they are your Scottish football diehards because nobody could ever accuse them of being glory hunters. And the alarming thing for everybody involved with Hamilton is that there were reports of Hamilton fans, the diehards, heading to the stadium after the 8-0 thrashing at Ibrox at the weekend to protest against what's going on at the club. You imagine how those same diehards would have been feeling after losing 2-1 to Stranraer. Hamilton Accies are a top-flight club, let's not forget, a top-flight club in these very, very small Betfred League Cup groups, and they are out with a fixture still remaining. I mean, that is absolutely terrible. And I know that the usual suspects will rally around Brian Rice, maybe people in the media who have to interview him on a weekly basis and, know where their bread's buttered, and they'll trot out the same stuff about Hamilton, as Roughie said there about, they don't sack managers, they stick by managers. In this case, Peter, I'm only seeing it for the perspective of the Hamilton Accies fans. An 8-0 thrashing and then losing, getting bumped out the cup to Stranraer. I think Brian Rice will be very, very lucky if he survives this.
Yeah, I think in defence of what Roughie's saying, and I would say this myself, it's not a reason of standing by Brian Rice. We are observing what happens with Hamilton Accies, what they do, because, when you get through a bad run of results, a Martin Canning, a Billy Reid, and now Brian Rice, they go through that period where you think, how the hell are they staying in the job? And even Chipper himself will know, but this is a board that acts differently from other clubs. We're only looking at the history of them.
There you go. Peter, I rest my case. Even Chipper will know. It's all the kind of media palsy-walsy act. As I said,
no, it's not.
I'm only seeing this. No, hang on. I'm only seeing this from the perspective of the supporter. And I think the Hamilton Accies supporters, who are laughed at by and large, I think they maybe deserve a fairer crack in the whip, and they deserve to be listened to.
Well, these four guys need to move on and be realistic.
Yeah, see that point? Yeah, absolutely. See that point? That point you're making, Tam, is quite simply, I'm giving you it from a journalistic point of view of watching what they've done over the last period with their managers. If you're looking at a normal club, it would be sacked. I'm giving you it from a perspective of what they do. Hamilton Accies go certainly against the grain, whether it's right or not. Your point on the Hamilton Accies fans is absolutely right. Although, Stevie, let's be honest about it, it's a similar situation for Hamilton Accies as it was for Hearts. Craig Levein was in way, way beyond his sell-by date, and people were looking in absolute amazement.
Yeah, and it's the easiest thing to say when there isn't a good run of results, change the manager, but who comes into Hamilton and changes things at the moment, just at the end of a transfer window? I think the club in general, their main aim, stay in the Premier League. Going out the cup is one thing, and it's a bad result, but they've had injuries. That I would also suggest was part of playing in the result against Rangers. But there will become a point that if the results don't turn and in the bottom of the league, they stay there and the gap gets bigger and bigger, that I'm sure Hamilton will. They've done it with Martin Canning, but I don't think, like you say, they're not going to knee-jerk reaction because they've just gone out the cup.
Yeah,
perhaps,
I'm just looking here.
All they need, Peter, perhaps all they need as International Week, maybe just to get the players' confidence back. Hamilton Accies over the weekend should arrange a friendly against Partick Thistle.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that it certainly helped Hearts in the 300 friendlies they had with Thistle just before the start of the season there. Just before we go, listen, as well as wishing Scotland all the best, I have to say, I've got to mention him, Ronaldo last night scored his 746th senior goal in the 7-0 win over Andorra. And again, he's up there. I don't know what number that he's getting as the greatest ever player of all time, but he's certainly in the top 5 now, Stevie, because when you look at his goal scoring record, he's just 21 goals behind Pele in 3rd place. Ronaldo is unbelievable, and I think maybe is he getting a raw deal because Messi's always been there? Should we be singing his praises more?
See, because you say there, Messi's always been there. I think the Messi-Ronaldo thing has helped both of them through their career. The numbers of goals and assists they've hit constantly for the last 15 years is definitely to do with both of them going at it. I take, obviously, Roughie's played against some of the best players in the world, and it'll be interesting to see what he says, but a lot of older guys that I've spoke to and over the years, coaches and that, who have seen Maradona, Pele in flesh, and then ask them, where does Messi and Ronaldo compare to them? A lot now are changing their mind and saying that they are right up there with them. And it's not as, whereas maybe in the middle of their career, they're saying, nah, they're nowhere near as good as what your Peles and Maradonas were. So I'm just glad I've been able to enjoy them for the last 15 years.
Yeah, here. Listen, it's still one of those ongoing arguments, and the two of them are still playing, which is great. So let's enjoy them in the twilight of their careers, whenever that comes. All that is left for us all to say is quite simply, go out there and do the business. Every player, listen to what Steve Clarke tells you, follow the rules, follow the game plan, and score a goal. I don't care if it's the first minute or the 90th minute, or indeed the 120th minute, or indeed penalties, as Roughie has possibly suggested. That will be a nightmare. It's a nightmare for us if it happens that way, because our nerves will be shredded, and of course Tam's bank account will not be as big as he was looking for. But nevertheless, if we do win it in 90 minutes, which I pray we do, then don't forget, listen to Tam on BBC Scotland on his radio programme, just to keep the man in a job. That's what I like to see. Tam, you've been great today. Steven Naismith, I think there's other Scotland shirts you'll be wearing in the future. Let's hope you're battling away and scoring goals for Hearts, and Stevie Clarke keeps you involved. Roughie, we'll be back tomorrow to reflect on it all. Let's hope we are in a good frame of mind. Like, share and follow us on our Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. From everyone here, come on Scotland. Thanks for watching.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.